Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to learn how to model this barbed wire. If you look at it, it looks very photorealistic. That's after I render it. But for now, I think I will just stick with satisfying. If this is what you want to learn, keep watching. This tutorial is going to be absolutely beginner friendly. If you do your best to follow, you'll be able to model at the end of the day. So let's jump in. Actually, the first thing you want to do is hit the like button and subscribe, please. So with the new scene opened up, the first thing you want to do is delete everything like that, go shift a mesh and then add in a circle. Now with this circle now, we want to tap in and go to your top view, press N to bring out your properties panel like that. And you want to set the median of X and Y to uh, 0.6 or 50. Yeah, 0.50 should do. That will move it out a bit. Then you can now scale it down like that. And you want to actually, we're going to have to duplicate this because we want to make a twisted wire. So Shift D to duplicate. And we want to set this one to negative zero point 0.5 on X and Y. Negative zero point 0.5 should flip it to the other side. Zero point 0.5, yeah. So now we have this in the right place. So what we want to do to these two circles now is to go to our modifier tab and add in a screw modifier. So when you give it a screw modifier, you're going to have to make the screw 40 or 50. 40 should be fine. Then iterations, we could make it 2 or 3. Iterations is how many levels you have. So, and the angle, just leave it at 360 like that. Then we want to actually make this 20. 20 is better. Let's just make this 20. So 20 meters. So I think that is all. That's about all we need to do for this particular, wire. Now we're gonna model the spiky part, right? Those spiky part that holds the wire together. So let's go Shift A under your curve. Let's go to our curve spiral. Where is it? Yeah, curve spiral Archimedean. Yeah, that's what we're gonna be using to make that. You can use any of these, but okay, let's use logarithm. I'm not sure I pronounced that right. But so you open up this little panel and we can, increase the height, increase the expansion force, but we don't want to increase it because it's gonna just, look like that. So let's leave it as it is. We want to increase the turns to make it longer. Let's make it 2 or 3. I think 2 should be fine. Then we want to reduce the expansion. We don't want it to expand. Just something like this should be fine. And we can now go ahead and increase the turns. Yeah, something like that. And was gonna reduce this the height so it's not so long. Yeah, something like this is fine. You guys, you have a lot of customizable option at this point. You can just go ahead and do what you want with this, but make sure you do something that makes sense. Okay, so now you can increase the radius, so you give it some, you know some wideness. Now it's time to give it some thickness. Go to your curve data properties. Under geometry, you want to go to bevel and increase that depth on the round. Something like this should be fine. And we want to scale the edges of these so it looks very sharp because we have a spiky edge on each of them. So what we're going to do is select this vert and we're going to press N to bring up these panels, and we're going to go to radius and make it 0. That will make it very sharp and straight. Now we're going to press G and Y and move it out to give it that, sharp, spiky, edge thing going on. You guys get the idea. So let's do the same thing down here. Select this, make the radius 0, and then we want to select it and just grab it and move it like that, G, Y, and just give it that spiky stain. So at this point, we'll have to make 2 of this. So let's press A to select everything and go to our, let's just move it up a little bit like that, place it there. place it wherever you want to place it on the twisted mesh, but that's where I'm going to place it. So I want to go Shift D to duplicate, RZ 180 degrees to rotate it 180 degrees on the Z axis, and now you should have it in the right spot. We have two, twisted meshes. Actually, it's a curve for now, but we're going to convert it to a mesh. We have two twisted curves with spiky edges holding our twisted mesh together like that, which is kind of what we wanted to get. So we want to move it up, G to move it up like that. Just place it somewhere that makes sense. Okay. You might want to duplicate it and place it up as well, so you have two, because we're going to be using a array modifier on this mesh when we join them together, so you don't have to you know remodel another one. So just duplicate and place it there like that. So that is about the basic work we need for this tutorial actually, because the rest is just going to be us using modifiers. So let's first of all apply this modifier and let's convert this to a mesh. So, and then holding Shift, select this one and Control J and join them. So now you have it as one object. So we have a mesh object now. And what we want to do after that is to give, we're going to give modifiers to this, right? The first modifier we want to give is array under generate array modifier, set it to the Z axis, 0 on the X and 1 on the Z axis. I want to give it a count of like, let's say 15 or more. You could go more if you want. Now you see it looking really weird because it's black down there. And the reason why we're having this is because we're having normal issues, right? So we joined two different meshes with different normal orientation, and that's why it's looking like that. So what we could do is to fix the normal issue, because these are all arrayed. So we're not gonna be editing all of them. We're just gonna edit the base mesh, the one that is down, which is that one. Yeah, so if we edit this, it's going to affect every other one, because when you array an object, you kind of instance it around. So select everything and press Shift N. That will recalculate the normals for you. And now the normals should be in the right place, and you shouldn't have that weird thing going on anymore. So that's a quick tip for those people who don't know much about normals. So let's go Shift A, curve, and let's get a curve spiral again. Where is our curve spiral? It's should be down. I don't know why the mouse is saying. Okay, yeah. So curve spiral. That's it. This time around, let's go with logarithmic. I think I pronounced it wrong the first time, so I think that's the right pronunciation for it. So there's a lot of things you could do here, like we did earlier, but we're just gonna increase the turns. I think we're just gonna increase the turns. Yeah, we're just gonna increase the turns so we have a lot of it. But you don't have to do this if you don't want to, because it's just gonna work your system. Your computer would, be huffing and puffing. But what you could do is leave it at maybe 10, but I'm gonna go with 30 because my computer can handle it. Leave it at 10, and then you're just gonna have to array it or instance it around later to have a very long, barbed wire. But I think my system can handle 30, so I'll go with 30. RY, rotate it like that, and we're trying to place this where it makes sense. Let's bring it down like that. Currently though, you can see that the barbed wire, like this, these spirals where we're gonna plot this is really small compared to the size of the spiky wires itself. So it's kind of the opposite. This is bigger and this is smaller, which is not supposed to be. So this is actually supposed to be very small. So we're gonna scale this down, scale it down like about that much. Okay, so scale it down. Yeah, scale it some more. And scaling it, just, trying to scale it to see how we can make it look a little smaller without affecting the base mesh. That's what I'm trying to do now. We converted it to a mesh, so any scaling or anything you do now can kind of affect the geometry and mess up your topology. So I'm trying to figure out how we're going to scale this, because the mistake I made was not scaling it in when it was still curved, when it was still a curved object. Now that it's already a mesh, it's kind of you're gonna have to scale it without affecting the geometry, basically. So that's what I'm trying to figure out at this point. But if you have made it this far, all you have to do is give your spiky mesh a curve modifier and just select that and change the deform axis, and you should have your results. But let's try that. Let's actually give this a curve modifier. Click on the eyedropper, select these, and change the deform axis to Z or negative Z. It depends on your setup. So you see that currently it's looking really, really jaggedy and terrible. But if you scale it down, you should be able to get the right result. But it's still looking really, really big and not organic. So what we could do is scale it down some more. So go ahead and scale this until you have the size that makes sense. Something like this makes sense for a security cable. I think something like this makes sense. So you can even scale it down some more and go ahead and increase this to like 200 or 300. Just, but this is the reason why I didn't want your curve spiral to be too long, because the longer it is, the more computing power that will be required to do the calculations and all. But 30 is actually too high for a regular PC. So, but I think we can go ahead and apply all of the modifiers now. So if you go ahead and apply all these modifiers, you have your basic security wire. So you can go ahead and give it a material if you're satisfied with what you have. But at this point, my system is actually I'm trying to save this so it don't run into any issues. So make sure to save your project just in case Blender crashes. So if you go Shift D to duplicate that. Oh, okay, I didn't duplicate that. What I did is I'm trying to move the curve spiral into a new collection called trash, because you don't want to render it with that spiral. So you're going to turn off the render visibility and viewport visibility for that curve spiral. As a matter of fact, since all the modifiers are already applied, you can go ahead and delete that curve spiral. You can go ahead and delete the curve spiral, like I said, and that is basically all. Currently, though, it's too long. Like the okay, my system is my system is finding it difficult to compute all of those polygons. It's quite a whole lot of polygons. There's a whole bunch of polygons there. You could be processes processing millions of polygons at this point, because it's actually a whole lot. We merged two different meshes and we merged two different meshes, and they all have a whole lot of vertices and all, and it's actually a whole lot for the computer to process. And then we use the curve spiral of like 30 tons, which is actually a whole lot. And then we're now using the curve modifier to put all of those meshes in that curve, and then we have to move the curve to a trash. It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot going on. So if your computer can't handle it, please just stick with 10 turns. 10 should go. This 30 is kind of a whole lot for the computer to process. So that has been the story, guys. I hope you guys